The wind cried his name, then never blew again. If the wind ever speaks your name, don't ignore it. The world does not waste its final breath. And before we go any deeper, if prophetic cinematic stories speak to you, subscribe to Kingdom Insights, so you never miss the next message that comes through the silence. He didn't know that yet. Not the night everything changed. It began in the kind of town where porch lights glow like small promises, where houses sit neatly beneath quiet skies, where nothing ever feels supernatural until it does. He was alone in his living room, the soft glow of an old TV humming in the corner, streetlights flickering through half-opened blinds, a mug cooling beside him. Night roads murmured faintly in the distant shade, sound of a world breathing in its sleep. Then a breeze slipped through the cracked window. Not sharp, not wild, just a gentle, familiar touch, with something unfamiliar inside it. He looked up. The curtains swayed as if stirred by unseen fingers. Then the breeze carried a sound, a whisper. His name, spoken with regret and with the weight of something ancient. He froze. A shiver crawled up his spine. He stepped toward the window. "Who's there?" he whispered. The breeze died instantly. Curtains fell still. The night became heavy. And deep in his bones, in the place where fear has a voice, felt it. Whatever called him wasn't human. The morning nitrogen monoxide air, MOVD. When dawn came, the world was wrong. The huge flag on the pole at the end of the street hung lifeless, as if denied the right to move. Leaves on the trees were frozen in place. Grass stood frozen, not bending to anything. He exhaled. His breath fogged the air and stayed there. Suspended. UNMOV. OVING. Outside, eyes wide. Is the air dead for you too? He nodded. Children tried running through the yard, but the dust they kicked up simply hovered. Someone tried waving a small flaget, refused to flutter. A whisper crawled across the distant, quiet. Thin. Tired. Barely reaching him. His name. Then the whisper died. And so did the wind. The night the sky stopped. BRTH. He walked to the park, a place usually full of movement and laughter. It looked abandoned. A swing hung crooked. He touched it. It moved, then stopped, unnaturally fast, as if the air refused to carry its weight. He stared upward. The sky was too sharp. Clouds frozen like painted shapes. "What do you want from me?" he whispered. The silence tightened around him. Thick. Judgmental. Heavy. Fields that stood like tombstones outside town. Fields normally moving like ocean stood stiff as gravestones. He scooped dirt in his hand and released it. The earth didn't reclaim it. The grains hovered in the nim, air frozen mid-fall. A presence formed at his back. Not wind, not sound, a watching. He whispered, "This is a warning." And the presence drifted away, leaving dread behind. The tree where the earth SBOK in a forgotten valley stood, an ancient oak older than memory. Beneath it, the soil glowed faintly, soft pulses of gold rising like breath, dream not to fade. He knelt, pressed his hand to the earth. The soil shuddered. Once. A hum rose through the ground, weak, dying, ancient. Then Kelowna's name, not from air. From earth. "Why me?" he whispered, but the ground gave no answer. It simply grew still, completely still. Before we continue, make sure you're subscribed to Kingdom Insights so you never miss the rest of this story. When silence becomes a Sajin, he stood in the valley, the last pulse fading beneath the soil, and he realized the wind hadn't chosen him because he was special, but because he was listening. Warnings rarely shout, they whisper. And when no one listens, the whisper becomes silence. He walked back toward town, through streets where people stood outside without knowing why. They felt it. Everyone did something. Unseen, watching, waiting, judging, a woman clutched her child. A man stood frozen beside a pickup truck. Hands shaking. Groups gathered silently in front yards. Some cried, some prayed, some looked to the sky as if expecting it. The tear-opened and above them the heaven stayed still. Too still. The night of the Shad, 3 nights later, the world changed again. He woke not from sound but from dread. A heaviness rolled through the sky like a giant shifting its weight somewhere beyond sight. He stepped onto the porch. Across the horizon, a shadow grew, a darkness deeper than cloud, older than storms, quiet as an omen. People poured outside, eyes fixed upward. The shadow deepened. The air vibrate. Then came the hum. Low. Deep. Cosmic. Not heard. Felt. It rattled through bones and memory like the echo of something from the beginning. The shadow grew. The hum surged. People collapsed. Others screamed. Some covered their erstwhile. The sound wasn't loud, just impossibly heavy. And then silence. Instant. The shadow faded. The stars returned, but the wind did not. The hum had been the wind's last echo, a memory of motion repeating once before, a disappearing forever. The years of Eastion the Linus' life continued, slow and fearful. Clouds never moved. Smoke rose straight up and froze. Children grew up never knowing what it felt like to lean into a breeze. Some whispered prayers, some whispered questions, some whispered nothing at all. He aged in the quiet. Gray hair. Slower steps. Eyes that had seen the world's breath and its death. Every night he whispered into the stillness, I remember. He knew the wind wasn't coming back, but the memory mattered. Witnesses always matter. His final one morning, his final morning, he felt something shift, not outside, inside. He lay still, eyes half closed, sunlight frozen on the floor. He inhaled one last time. And when he exhaled, the world trembled. The branches outside his window stirred once. Grass rippled a single time. Dust lifted softly as though honoring him. It wasn't wind returning. It was remembrance. Creation. Bowing to the last witness of the whisper it had once given. Then silence settled again for good. If the wind ever speaks your name, listen. And if this story reached you, subscribe to Kingdom Insights. There are more messages waiting for those who pay attention to the whispers before the silence.